Introduction to Azure Front Door. Welcome to the channel. Please consider subscribing. I produce videos daily, covering a wide variety of cloud topics with a focus on networking. Also, hit the bell icon to get notified of new videos. Today, we are exploring Azure Front Door, Microsoft's modern cloud CDN and global load balancing solution. If you are building applications that need to serve users globally with low latency and high availability, Azure Front Door is a service you absolutely need to understand. Azure Front Door is fundamentally different from regional load balancers like Application Gateway. While Application Gateway operates within a single Azure region, Front Door is a global service that runs at Microsoft's edge locations worldwide. Think of it as your application's front door to the internet, hence the name. It sits at the edge of Microsoft's network, as close to your users as possible, and intelligently routes their requests to the best available back-end. What makes Front Door special is its position in Microsoft's global network. When a user makes a request to your application, it first hits the nearest front door edge location, one of over 180 POPs worldwide. This means users in Tokyo, London, or New York all get fantastic performance because they are connecting to a nearby edge location, not traveling across the globe to reach your application. Front Door combines several critical capabilities into one service. It is a content delivery network, CDN, that caches static content at the edge. It is a global load balancer that can route traffic across regions based on performance, availability, or your custom rules. It is a security service with built-in DDoS protection and WAF. And it is an acceleration service that uses Microsoft's private backbone network to speed up dynamic content delivery. The service operates at Layer 7, understanding HTTP and HTTPS traffic, which enables intelligent routing decisions based on URI paths, headers, or other HTTP attributes. But unlike Application Gateway, Front Door does not live in your VNet. It is a global service that sits in front of your entire application architecture. Throughout this presentation, I will show you how to deploy Front Door using Azure CLI, explain each component in detail, and share patterns I have seen work well for global applications. We will explore how Front Door differs from both Azure CDN and Application Gateway, and when you should use each service. Global architecture and points of presence. Understanding Front Door's global architecture is crucial for leveraging its full potential. Let me walk you through how this service spans the globe and why that matters for your applications. Azure Front Door operates from Microsoft's extensive network of edge locations, called points of presence or POPs. With over 180 POPs across 100+ metro cities worldwide, Front Door ensures your users always have a nearby connection point. Each POP runs the full Front Door stack, including caching, WAF, routing logic, and health monitoring. This distributed architecture is what enables Front Door to deliver consistent sub-second latency globally. When a user makes a request, DNS resolution directs them to the nearest healthy POP using Anycast routing. This happens automatically. You don't need to configure anything. The beauty of Anycast is that the same IP address works globally, but users are automatically routed to their nearest location. If a POP goes down, traffic seamlessly shifts to the next nearest location without any configuration changes. Once at the edge, Front Door makes intelligent decisions about where to route the request. If it's cacheable content and exists in that POP's cache, it's served immediately, often in under 50 milliseconds. For dynamic content, Front Door uses Microsoft's private WAN to route traffic to your backend. This private backbone is key. Instead of traversing the public internet with its unpredictable routing and congestion, your traffic travels on Microsoft's optimized network. The health monitoring system is particularly sophisticated. Each POP independently monitors the health of all configured backends. These health probes originate from multiple POPs, giving you a global view of your application's availability. If a backend becomes unhealthy from certain locations but not others, Front Door can make intelligent routing decisions. perhaps routing Asian traffic to your Singapore region while European traffic goes to West Europe. Front door's architecture also provides automatic failover capabilities. You can configure multiple backends across different regions, and front door will automatically route around failures. The failover happens in seconds, not minutes, because the edge locations already know the health status of all backends. This is much faster than DNS-based failover solutions. For security, each POP runs the full web application firewall engine. This means attacks are blocked at the edge before they ever reach your backend infrastructure. DDoS protection is also built into the platform. Microsoft's Edge network can absorb massive attacks that would overwhelm traditional infrastructure. One aspect that surprises many people is that front door can accelerate both static and dynamic content. While CDNs traditionally focus on static content, front door's split TCP and connection pooling means even non-cacheable API calls benefit from the global infrastructure. The edge location maintains persistent connections to your backends, so users get the benefit of connection reuse even for dynamic requests. Front door versus CDN versus application gateway. One of the most common questions I get is when to use front door versus Azure CDN or application gateway. Let me break down the key differences and help you understand when each service makes sense. Azure Front Door is a global Layer 7 load balancer and CDN combined. It operates at Microsoft's edge locations worldwide and can route traffic across regions. Think of it as your global traffic manager with caching capabilities. It's designed for applications that need global reach, multi-region failover, and want to leverage Microsoft's backbone network for acceleration. Front door includes WAF capabilities and can do sophisticated routing based on URLs, headers, and other HTTP attributes. Azure CDN, on the other hand, is primarily focused on content caching and delivery. While front door includes CDN capabilities, Azure CDN is a pure-play CDN service available from multiple providers including Microsoft, Verizon, and Akamai. CDN is perfect when your primary goal is caching static content like images, videos, and JavaScript files. It's simpler to configure than front door and often more cost-effective for pure content delivery scenarios. However, CDN doesn't include load balancing, WAF, or the advanced routing capabilities of front door. Application Gateway is a regional Layer 7 load balancer. Unlike front door, it lives inside your virtual network in a specific Azure region. It's designed for load balancing within a region, not globally. Application Gateway excels at scenarios like secure sockets layer offload, cookie-based session affinity, and URL-based routing within a single region. It also includes WAF capabilities but processes traffic after it enters your Azure region, not at the edge like front door. Here's how I think about choosing between them. Use front door when you need global load balancing, multi-region failover, or want to accelerate dynamic content using Microsoft's backbone. It's perfect for SaaS applications, e-commerce sites, and any application with a global user base. The ability to route traffic based on latency, priority, or weights across regions is incredibly powerful. Use Azure CDN when your primary need is caching static content globally. If you don't need load balancing or WAF, and you're mainly serving images, videos, or static websites, CDN is simpler and often more cost-effective. Many architectures use both, front door for the application logic and CDN for large static assets. Use Application Gateway when you need advanced Layer 7 load balancing within a single region. It's perfect for complex applications that need URL-based routing, multi-site hosting, or end-to-end secure sockets layer within your virtual network. Application Gateway gives you more control over the networking since it's inside your VNet, while front door operates outside your network boundary. A common pattern I see is using front door as the global entry point, routing to application gateways in each region, which then load balance to the actual application servers. This gives you the best of both worlds, global load balancing and acceleration from front door, plus regional control and features from Application Gateway. Creating Azure Front Door Profile. Let's dive into creating an Azure Front Door instance. I will walk you through each Azure CLI command and explain every parameter so you understand exactly what is happening. Note that Microsoft has introduced a new front door standard/premium SKU that replaces the classic front door. I will show you the modern approach. First, we create a resource group using AZ group create. The name parameter sets our resource group name. I am using RG Front Door Demo following Azure naming conventions. The location parameter might seem odd for a global service, but it determines where the front door resource metadata is stored. I typically use the region closest to my primary user base, or where my other resources are located. Next, we create the front door profile using AZ-700 profile create. This is the top-level container for your front door configuration. The profile name parameter sets the name of your front door instance. The SKU parameter is crucial. Standard Azure Front Door gives you the standard tier with CDN and load balancing, while Premium Azure Front Door adds advanced security features, like managed WAF rules and private link support. For most applications, standard is sufficient and more cost-effective. The front door profile name becomes part of your default host name, profilename.azurefd.net, so choose wisely. Unlike the classic front door, the new SKU separates the profile from endpoints, giving you more flexibility in configuration. Creating the endpoint is the next step with AZ-700 endpoint create. The endpoint name becomes part of your URL, endpoint name-hash.azurefd.net. You can have multiple endpoints per profile, which is useful for different applications or environments. The endpoint is where your users connect, and where you will later configure custom domains. Now we need to create an origin group using AZ-700 origin group create. Origin groups are collections of backends, called origins, that receive traffic. The probe request type of HEAD is more efficient than GET for health checks. The probe protocol should match your application. Use HTTPS for production. The probe interval in seconds of 30 means health checks run every 30 seconds from multiple global locations. The probe path of / checks your application route, but you should create a dedicated health endpoint that verifies all critical dependencies. The sample size of 4 and successful samples required of 3 means front door needs 3 out of 4 recent probes to succeed for considering an origin healthy. This prevents flapping due to transient issues. The additional latency in milliseconds of 50 is a buffer for latency-based routing. Front door will consider origins within 50 milliseconds of the fastest as equally good, preventing constant switching between origins with similar performance. Finally, we add origins, backends, to the origin group using AZ-700 origin create. The host name is your backend's address. This can be an app service, a public IP, or any publicly accessible host name. The origin host header is crucial. It sets the host header sent to your backend. For app services, this must match the app service host name. The priority determines failover order, lower is higher priority, while weight distributes traffic among origins with the same priority. The enabled state should be enabled unless you are preparing an origin for future use. These commands create a basic but functional front door setup. From here, you can add routes, configure caching, set up WAF policies, and add custom domains. The modular structure of the new front door SKU makes it much more flexible than the classic version. Front-end hosts and custom domains. Configuring front-end hosts and custom domains is essential for production front door deployments. Let me walk you through the process, including the critical DNS configuration and secure sockets layer certificate management that often trips people up. Every front door endpoint comes with a default domain like myendpoint123abc.azurefd.net. While this works for testing, you'll want to use your own domain for production. The process involves creating a custom domain in front door, validating ownership, configuring DNS, and setting up secure sockets layer certificates. First, Let's add a custom domain using AZ-700 custom domain create. The custom domain name is an internal identifier. I like to use the actual domain name with dots replaced by hyphens. The host name is your actual domain, like www.contoso.com. Front Door needs to verify you own this domain before accepting traffic for it. The domain validation happens through a DNS-TXT record. Front Door generates a validation token that you need to add to your DNS. The AZ-700 custom domain show command reveals this token in the validation properties section. You'll create a TXT record at _DNSAuth.www or _DNSAuth for Apex domains with this token value. This proves to Front Door that you control the domain's DNS. For the actual traffic routing, you need to configure a CNAME record pointing your domain to the Front Door endpoint. For www.contoso.com, you'd create a CNAME record pointing to my endpoint 123abc.azurefd.net. This is straightforward for subdomains, but Apex domains, like contoso.com without www, require special handling since CNAME records aren't allowed at the Apex. For Apex domains, you have two options. If your DNS provider supports ALIAS or ANAME records, like Azure DNS, you can use those to point to Front Door. Otherwise, you'll need to use Azure DNS and its alias record feature, or implement a redirect from the Apex to www. I generally recommend using www as your primary domain and redirecting the Apex. It's simpler and more compatible. Secure Sockets Layer certificate management in Front Door is remarkably elegant. By default, Front Door provides free managed certificates for your custom domains. The AZ-700 custom domain update command with certificate type managed certificate enables this. Front Door handles all certificate provisioning, renewal, and rotation automatically. These certificates are issued by DigiCert and are trusted by all major browsers. The managed certificate provisioning process takes about 15 to 30 minutes. Front Door needs to verify domain ownership, hence the earlier validation step, and then request the certificate from DigiCert. You can monitor the process using AZ-700 custom domain show. Look for the deployment status and domain validation state fields. If you need to use your own certificates, perhaps for extended validation, EV, certificates or internal PKI, you can store them in Azure Key Vault and reference them from Front Door. The certificate type customer certificate option along with the Key Vault secret ID enables this. Make sure Front Door's managed identity has access to your Key Vault. The minimum TLS version parameter is important for security. I recommend 1.2 as the minimum. Older versions have known vulnerabilities. Front Door supports TLS 1.3 as well, providing the best performance and security for modern clients. Once your custom domain is active, you need to create routes to handle traffic. Routes determine which origin group serves requests for each domain and path combination. A single custom domain can have multiple routes for different URL paths, enabling sophisticated routing scenarios. Remember that DNS changes take time to propagate globally. While most updates happen within minutes, full global propagation can take up to 48 hours. During this time, some users might still reach your old hosting while others hit Front Door. Plan your migrations accordingly, perhaps using a gradual rollout approach. Thank you for your attendance. Please consider subscribing to the channel.